So do you mind, before we get into the list of these top 4, could you set that anchor by using Box Hill, I think is the location? Yep. So if anyone doesn't know Box Hill, we're at 20 Ks out of Melbourne. Could you give us the rest of the stats, man? Because this will be an interesting point.
Yeah, so we've got Box Hill, and we've got a median price in Box Hill of 1.64 mil.
Yep.
We've got a median rent of $555 a week for a house.
That's so low.
That's not a unit, that's a house.
Yeah.
So that's a 1.8% rental yield.
Yep.
Which is not
painful
for me. Yeah.
Yep.
Vacancy rate of 2.5%, which is actually higher than a lot of Melbourne. We've got a 1-year rental growth of 16%, which is good. Want to hope so at $555 a week rent.
Yep.
But we've got 1-year capital growth of 6.7%. And we've got days on market are 15 now, and we're 14 a year ago. So pretty stable in that regard. And that's why we've got price growth in the last year.
Okay. All right. And so what are we looking at then for a price to income ratio for this?
Yep. So the price to income ratio for this suburb, which means the median price of a house divided by the annual household income, is 17.1 times. So
it's pretty high.
17.1 times the annual household income.
Okay.
And median house.
We're not talking like a Melbourne fringe suburb that's like a
mid-range. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not right in the city, but it's, well, like you said, 20 Ks out.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Now that we've got that as like a reference point, because I think there's a lot of people that I've been talking to lately that they're starting to see a bit of the interest in Melbourne, but looking at it kind of going, well, if I'm going 20 Ks out and I'm still buying for like 1.6 million
with a 1.8% yield,
what's the point?
Yep.
Like that's pretty tricky. You've got a bit of a different view on this. So it's like, well, maybe it's not time to go 20 Ks out. Maybe it's time to actually look completely regional.
Yeah.
Do you want to start the list with which one was it? Bendigo that was first?
Yeah, well, as we've spoke about, Victoria's now got the rules that you can put granny flats on, which it hasn't had before. Anything over 300 square meters, you can granny flat.
That's it.
I don't know how you do a granny flat on 300 meters.
Very cozily.
But in regional Victoria, there's plenty of blocks that are 600, 700 square meters, and you can still buy a lot of these properties for under $400,000. So the first one off the list, we've got California Gully in Bendigo.
California Gully sounds exotic. Sounds cool.
So it does. It sounds a bit fancy. We've got a median house price there of $462,000.
462. Okay.
But in that, you can definitely buy for under 400 still. So that's what we're looking at, the lower end ones. We've got a median rent of $420 a week. So still not great in comparison to somewhere like Queensland or Perth, but it's a 4.7% yield as opposed to the 1.8% in Box Hill in the middle of the city.
So we're still not talking like spectacular yields, but in reference to Greater Melbourne,
it is much better. And if you consider the fact that you can also add a granny flat, you know, if you add a granny flat for 160, 180 grand, it rents for 300 a week.
Potentially pushing that up to 6 or so.
You're bringing your total yield up to 6, maybe 6.5.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we've got a vacancy rate there, 0.6. So very tight rental market.
Love it.
And we've got rental growth of 7.7% over the last year, which is good. So solid. And then we've got capital growth over the year, 5.3%. Days on market are 29 at the moment, and we're 26 year on year. So pretty stable there. And the big one is the price to income ratio is only 7.3 times.
So much more affordable.
Box Hill was 17.1. California Gully 7.3 times.
So you can knock 10 years of average wage off of it.
Yep.
Well, not average wage.
The median house price.
Yeah. Okay. And $420 a week for rent, it still feels pretty low.
It is low. I think they're going to have to grow considering the vacancy rates and the immigration coming into Victoria. So,
okay. And population there in Bendigo?
Population's 103,000.
103,000. Okay. And if you want to get a little bit of a closer look at any of these numbers as well, head on over to our Instagram and you'll be able to see, we'll have a couple of slides on this one. But what's next on the list there, Bill?
Next, we've got, I may say it wrong, Wendouree in Ballarat.
Okay.
Right? So this one, we've got a median price of 436. We've got a median rent of 360 a week, which is 4.3%. Again, still not amazing, but a lot better than the capital city of Melbourne. Vacancy rate of 0.8%, so still chronically undersupplied on the rental side of things.
Yep.
1 year rental growth of 3%. Not that great,
pretty low,
to be honest. Yeah, but we've got low vacancy rates. We'll look at that and see if it continues to head upwards. We've got 1 year capital growth, which is minus 4.4%,
So
which is interesting.
Talk me through that. Doesn't concern you?
Well, I would look at this one. So we've also got days on market, which are 45 now, and were 28 a year ago. So that's a pretty significant increase on days on market there. And that's obviously showing up in the price growth as well, being negative. But we've got good affordability, and we've got just a 6.9 times affordability for this one, price to income ratio.
Even less than Bendigo.
Even less, yeah. So, and there's 117,000 people in Ballarat. It's within, not commutable distance to Melbourne, but you can get to Melbourne quite easily.
Yep.
I think long term, this is a good bet, but I would just be watching it for the time when the prices stop falling, and that will probably come when days on market start to level out or reduce again, I reckon.
So you're really taking a while they zig, you'll zag type approach.
Yeah, well, I'd just look at it the same way we looked at places like Logan and Ipswich 4 or 5 years ago. They weren't really showing signs of growth immediately, but you could buy a house for 200, 250,000, half an hour from the CBD of Brisbane, and they were 6% yields, big blocks of land, everything made sense. Could put granny flats on them.
Couldn't even build it for that.
No, couldn't build it for that.
Yep. And you're seeing a lot of the couldn't even build it for that in the data you're seeing now as well?
Well, yeah, if you're buying for under $400,000 for a 3-in-1 that's in relatively good condition on 600-700 square meters, I think it's good value.
It's almost free land.
Yeah.
All right, what's next on the list? We've got 2 more?
Yeah, the next one we've got Shepparton, which is we've got a 466,000 median.
Yep.
And we've got a $420 a week rental income, which is 4.7% yield. We've got a vacancy rate of 1%. 1 year rental growth, 7.7%. 1 year capital growth, 4.6%. Days on market have increased slightly. They're 46 now and were 39 a year ago. The price to income ratio is just 6.8 times.
6.8 times.
So very affordable.
So we're getting lower and lower as far as the affordability is concerned. And last one on the list I can see is even lower again. Where are we looking for the last one?
The next one is Horsham in Vic, which is even lower again at 370. This is a bit of a smaller place. It's only got 20,000 people.
Okay.
So maybe not one that you'd want to jump into if you only had one property, but if you got a portfolio of 4, 5, 6, 10, whatever, maybe it's something you can look at.
Because we're talking much more regional than Shepparton and Bendigo.
It is, and it's smaller. It's further out and it's smaller.
Yeah, it's pretty much smack bang in the middle between Adelaide and Melbourne.
Yeah, it is, yeah. But we've got a rental income of $380 a week, which is 5.3%, which is, if you're buying in the sort of 2s, which you can, you're getting a rental income of probably around 6. So we've got a vacancy rate there, 0.9%, undersupplied, once again. We've got a 1 year rental growth of 5.6%. Yeah, 1 year rental growth, 5.6. 1 year capital growth is actually minus 0.4. But if you look at that trend on the 1 year, it's actually dipped and it's recovering at the moment.
Right.
So the last 6 months or so have actually been up.
Yep.
Days on market, 28 now, 28 a year ago. So
I looked at Horsham the other day.
Steady.
There's a lot more under contract at the moment than I was seeing
before. They're starting
to
sell a lot quicker than they were. Well, it's 28 now, 28 a year ago, but in that year, it's gone up past 28. Now it's come back down if you look at the data. And the price to income ratio there is only 5.1 times.
So 5.1 times their median income
will buy
the median house.
Yep, that's the median house. So if you're buying at the lower end.
So, and referencing back to Box Hill, 17.1 times.
With a 1.8% yield.
Yeah. Okay. And this is the reason I thought when you suggested this as an episode, Bill, this was such a good idea, because I think there is going to be so many people going, yeah, I can see the potential in Melbourne, but I just can't see the numbers stacking up. So whilst we're not talking about Melbourne, we are talking about Victoria, mixing that together with the changes in the granny flat legislation that's just happened. This could be that episode that you listen to in 12 months, 24 months time and go, oh yeah, I forgot they said about those areas. And this could be that foot in the door in an affordable way. And then also another ingredient to chuck into the pot, stage 3 tax cuts come in this year.
Exactly. Yep.
There's a few changes in the lending side of thing that's potentially going to be pushing people's borrowing power up again.
Yep.
I think this is really going to be a mix for something awesome.
It could be. And the big one is the granny flats.
Yeah.
So haven't been able to do that. We've seen investors pile into Queensland because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Could be something that happens in Victoria over the next few years.
Awesome. Bill Childs, thank you so much for jumping on the show, mate. Always love to have you on.
No worries, mate. It's been good.